Community needs help, she's the first one there organizing a help brigade. And if someone has an idea for a community building group or action, Nuala will help make it a reality. So I'll hand the floor over to her.
What they didn't say is that I'm only 4'10". All right. This room is Jackson Heights. This room, look to your left, look to your right. The diversity in this room is the diversity of Jackson Heights. The diversity that makes this the fabulous community that we all enjoy. And it's that diversity that makes this issue so important to the people here in Jackson Heights. With the election of our latest president, I think the whole neighborhood felt this call. This idea that you couldn't get out of bed the next morning. This idea that kind of ripped at the fabric of our souls. And the question is how do you get up? How do you rise and how do you resist? And the answer is each and every one of us has to do each and everything that we possibly can. I noticed that in the envelope, they had a wonderful page of just about thinking about your qualities and how you can use your strengths to support our immigrant neighbors. I, like many people in this room, am the firstborn American in my family. They used to tease me as a child that my older brothers and sisters couldn't be president, but I could be, because I was actually born here. But like many families here in Jackson Heights, my family took a voyage. They started in one country, looked for jobs in another, and ended up, bizarrely enough, in rural Indiana for employment opportunities. And then we escaped and came here to New York. And so, the good immigrant versus the bad immigrant, right? So, this was they voluntarily left and may not have been for years and years. So I want to make sure that we, not only do we support immigrants, but we support all immigrants, no matter what their situation and their background. And that makes it a little harder sometimes, right?
Suketu is a migrant who claims his home as planet Earth, the mothership. He was born in Calcutta, grew up in Bombay, and in 1977 moved as a teenager to Jackson Heights. Suketu says, "I am primarily a storyteller," and his first book, Maximum City, Bombay Lost and Found, was a 2005 finalist for a Pulitzer Prize. His most recent book, This Land is Our Land, An Immigrant's Manifesto, tells the story of America as a land of strangers and of the forces of inequality, violence, climate change, and colonialism pushing millions of migrants to flee their countries of origin. The book has been celebrated as a powerful, passionate, angry, and hopeful cry for justice by one of our finest writers. There are copies for sale, and Mr. Mehta will be signing them at the end of our program. Suketu lives in New York City and teaches journalism at NYU, and we welcome him back to Jackson Heights.
Thanks so much for inviting me here. Back home, I grew up on 83rd Street. And when I came here in 77, I went to high school at Senior McClancy, just across Northern Boulevard. It wasn't a happy experience at the time. I was one of the first minorities in the school. The teachers called me a pagan. I remember on my first day in the school, this kid with red hair and freckles comes up to me and says, "Lincoln should have never let him off the plantations." And I said, "But what's it got to do with me?" So, I'm familiar with the kind of queens that have generated not only the people in this room, but also our current president. And so much of what's going on in the country is a war of these dueling queens. But I loved growing up here in what we call Jackson Heights. It's the Hindi and Urdu way of pronouncing it. And my parents made me stay here on 83rd Street, and I went to NYU. they wouldn't let me live in the dorms because I might become Americanized. So I had to take the F train every day for 4 years. And I said, one way or the other, I'm getting into NYU housing, so I'm now an NYU professor, and I live in. But for my new book, which is it's a book I've been working on for 10 years, it's a book about New York, a lot of the stories that I want to follow are right here in Jackson Heights. So I'm looking to come back here and live here for a while. So any leads on apartments? Every New York conversation has to turn to real estate. So I wrote this book in response to the present emergency. There's an emergency not just in this country, but all around the world. Today, there's 250 million people, including me, including many of the people in this room, who live in a country other than the one we were born in. So never have more human beings lived outside their birth country. Never have more people migrated. And never have there been more resistance to this kind of migration. So the immigration debate in this country and in the West generally is, should we let immigrants in or not? Are they going to be good for America or England or France? How many should we let them let in? Should they be skilled or unskilled? Are they good immigrants or bad immigrants? You know, it's all told from, it's all about what's in it for the countries that immigrants come to. And in my book, I take a different tack. What about the immigrants themselves? Why do they leave? Why would anyone leave their family, their language, their culture, their people, their food, their trees, their rivers? Why would they go across oceans and fences? You know, why would they come to these strange lands? And it's not to see the Statue of Liberty or the Eiffel Tower. People are moving because they have no choice, because the rich countries have stolen the future of the poor countries. And my book begins with a story my grandfather once told me. So my grandfather was born in India and worked all his life in colonial Kenya, and then retired to London, where his son was living. So my grandfather is sitting in a park in North London one day, minding his own business, and this elderly British gent comes up to him and wags a finger in his face and says, "Why are you here? Why did you go back to where you come from?" And my grandfather, who's from a business family, says, "Because we are the creditors. You came to my country, you took all my gold and my diamonds, you prevented my industries from growing, so you have stolen from us. We have come here to collect. We are here because you were there." And so, when my grandfather told me the story, I realized, well, it's actually true. Many of the people who are coming here and to England and to France and to the colonial countries, because the colonial countries were there first. We asked people who come here, where are your visas? Have you come here lawfully? Ask yourself this: has the West ever gone anywhere lawfully when they went into Latin America, when they went into Asia, when they went into Africa? Did any of them ever carry a passport, ask for a visa? And they went not to work, but to steal and to rob and to rape. When the British went into India at the beginning of the 18th century, India's share of world GDP was 23%, almost a quarter of the world GDP. By the time they left 200 years later, India's share of world GDP had plunged to 4%. During the colonial period, the share of world GDP of all the colonial countries went from 20% to 60% of world GDP. So Europe didn't develop the colonies developed Europe. So colonialism is one big reason why people moved. It wasn't just what they did when they were in these countries. It's the lousy colonial map making that resulted when they left. When the British left what's now India, Pakistan, and Bangladesh, this was a country that has been one country for 5,000 years. They ruled by splitting Indians and Muslims and Christians and Sikhs against each other. It was a very conscious policy, divide and rule. That's the only way that a handful of British people could rule over this giant continent. And when they left, they brought in a barrister named Radcliffe, who'd never been to India, and gave him 5 weeks to draw 2 lines down a map, which today separate almost 2 billion people. And India and Pakistan have fought 4 wars since then because of this lousy colonial mapmaking. The same thing in Africa. When the British went into Africa, if you look at a map of Africa, it's got all these straight lines. These are not natural lines. When we ask ourselves why are there all these wars in Africa, these tribal wars, it's because the colonial powers put their national boundaries straight through tribal homelands. And so most of these wars are about tribes trying to regather themselves into a particular community.
Restablecer el orden que tenían antes. Cuando las colonias se fueron, no sencillamente se fueron y ya está, pero dejaron muchas reverberaciones. El colonialismo imperialista se reemplazó con el colonialismo corporativo. Hoy en día los países en desarrollo se pierden como 3 veces de su dinero a las corporaciones que vienen a sus países, se reúnen con la élite de su país y se roban los recursos de estos países. Este señor que tocó hoy, que es de Guinea, en mi libro, estuve hablando con una familia de Guinea que habían trabajado en Marruecos y estaban tratando de llegar a España porque es que no pensaban que tenían futuro en Guinea, que pensaban que las corporaciones y los poderes coloniales habían destrozado su país. Un grupo de intereses americanos que se llama OXEF había llegado y el que está a cargo de esta corporación es un señor que se gastó $250 millones para comprar una propiedad en el Parque Central de Nueva York. Otro líder corporativo compró unos terrenos ingleses por millones de dólares y todos han sido acusados de prácticas corruptas en África, pero los dineros que tienen que pagar por eso las corporaciones no van directamente de vuelta a las personas. No es solo Inglaterra y Francia. En un momento, el United Fruit Company tenía el 42% de todas las tierras en Guatemala. Imagínense una corporación extranjera que fuera dueña del 42% de las tierras de Estados Unidos. Otra razón primaria para irse es la guerra. Nosotros, Estados Unidos, entramos en Irak y desatamos una guerra ilegal que destrozó los hogares de muchos y muchas personas fugaron no al país que causó la guerra, que Estados Unidos, sino a países vecinos, Jordan, Siria. Imaginen que los terrenos de la familia Bush en Texas tuvieran todos los refugiados de esta guerra. Y no es una cosa correcta. Otra razón por la cual yo creo que vemos todas estas personas que vienen aquí por las gangas en El Salvador, en Honduras, en Guatemala.
And homicide figures in these countries
Y la tasa de homicidio en estos
are like
países
civil war. They're higher
es como
than
las de una guerra
homicide
civil.
figures in the Middle East.
Son más altos que
Why
los
are
del
all these
Medio
people killing
Oriente.
each other?
Porque
It's
estas
because
personas
we
se
sell
están
them the
matando.
guns to
Es
kill
porque
each other.
nosotros,
And we
los
buy
Estados
the
Unidos, les
principal product that
vendemos
they
las
have
armas
left to
para que se
export, which is
maten.
their drugs.
Y
And we release our
compramos las
prisons
drogas
and export
que
it
exportan.
the paramilitias like
Y nosotros
MS-13
también hemos
to
mandado
create
paramilitares
these gangs. MS-13
que han
wasn't born
creado
in
estas
these countries.
gangas.
It was born in the prisons of California.
Estas gangas no nacieron en esos
75%
países,
of all
nacieron
the
en las
guns in
cárceles
Mexico
de
come from the
Estados
United
Unidos.
States. 98% of all the guns in the Bahamas come
El
from the United States.
98% de
Anytime the UN
las pistolas
tries to do
en
anything
Bahamas, por
concerted
ejemplo, vienen de
to stop
Estados
this
Unidos.
flow of
Un porcentaje
guns
muy
into these
alto
countries,
viene
the NRA
de los que están en México, vienen
leans
de
on
Estados
the
Unidos.
US government
La
to
NRA
stop any kind
le
of
pone
UN action
mucho
in its tracks.
apoyo,
Small Arms
mucha
Treaty,
presión
the
perdón,
US
al
vetoed it.
gobierno estadounidense para
Any
que
sort of
no
progress
se haga
on
ninguna crítica
stopping this murderous
o
flow of
comentario
weapons,
internacional
we, the United States,
sobre las
stand
armas.
opposed to it.
Nosotros, los Estados Unidos, somos responsables
The
por
fourth
eso.
and biggest reason why
La
people are moving
cuarta
and will
razón
be moving is climate change.
Por la
By
cual
the
las
middle
personas
of
se
the
están
century,
mudando
according
es
to the
el
UN,
cambio de clima.
over 1 billion people are going to
Para
be displaced by climate.
finales de
Temperatures
esta
in
década,
India this
más
year
de 1 billón de
were
personas van a verse
123 degrees.
mudados.
By the
La temperatura
end
en
of the
la
century,
India ha llegado a
large
ser
parts of northern India and
123
Bangladesh will be
grados
simply
Fahrenheit.
unlivable. The human body will not be able
Sencillamente
to go
uno no
outside
puede
without roasting
vivir
to death.
así.
10,000 Indians
Se
and
mueren
Pakistanis
de calor.
already roasted to death this year alone.
Ya se han muerto muchas personas
Who
de
caused
calor
it?
en la India y en Pakistán.
The US is 4% of the
¿Y
world's
quién está
population,
causando
but we
eso?
put one third of the
La
world's
población de
excess carbon in
Estados
the
Unidos
atmosphere. European countries, another quarter.
y de Europa,
We built up our economy
entre
by
los dos
emitting these
son
fossil
responsables
fuels.
por el
Now we are asking
50%
these
del
economies,
efecto en
the
el
developing
clima,
economies like India and
aunque
China,
no sean el
not to do the
50%
same,
de
not
la
to
población
emit,
mundial.
and they are emitting. But if you look at historical
Pero
emissions,
si
who's
uno
put the
ve
bulk of the
históricamente las
climate gas in the
emisiones,
atmosphere? It's us.
quién los está
And we continue
poniendo
to do
en
it.
el
The
aire,
average
somos nosotros.
American uses as much energy
Es
as 35
el
Indians
americano
or
promedio
180 Ethiopians.
utiliza
The Pentagon
más
alone
recursos que
emits more greenhouse
180
gases
personas etiopianas.
140 countries. So, these people are coming here because
Las personas,
we were there,
estas
and we
personas están
continue to be there.
viniendo
The corporations
porque
continue
nosotros
to be there.
continuamos
The actions of our
nuestra presencia en
government
sus países, nuestras corporaciones están ahí.
establish our presence there. So my book has these numbers,
Así que mi
but it's
libro
also got
menciona
the
todos
stories,
estos
because I
números,
went
pero
all around the
también
world and spoke
cuenta
to
los
migrants.
cuentos de estas personas.
I remember
Porque yo
speaking to a
viajé por todo el mundo y
Honduran
hablé con
mother,
migrantes.
23-year-old Honduran
Hablé
mother,
con una madre
last year in the
hondureña
women's
el año
shelter in
pasado
Tijuana. And she had this adorable 18-month-old
que
baby
tenía
boy
un
playing
bebé
on her.
de 18 meses,
And she had
muy
fled
lindo,
because her
y
husband
ella se había
had
ido
witnessed a gang murder in San Pedro Sula in Honduras.
porque su
And this was at the height
esposo
of the
había
family separation crisis.
tenido
And
problemas con
you know,
gangas en San
love
Pedro
this little
Sula.
boy. And
Y este
I said to
niño,
her,
yo lo vi,
she was going to apply for asylum. And
y
she
ella
had
iba
a
a pedir
legitimate claim
asilo,
for asylum, well-founded fear.
y ella
Ah.
tenía toda la base
And,
para pedir asilo, tenía
And I said, if you apply for
unos
asylum,
miedos.
this was at the height of the family separation crisis.
Y esto fue
They're going to take your
en
little
el
boy away from you.
apogeo
And
de
they'll
la
put
crisis
him
de la
across the
separación de
country somewhere. And
familias.
she had tears in her eyes. And she said, what a
Yo le
mother's love is?
dije,
This boy
¿qué
that I
vas a
love more than
hacer
my life.
si la separan
I
de su
would
hijo?
rather never see him again.
Y ella dijo,
And know that
mire,
he's safe
el
somewhere.
amor que yo le tengo
And that maybe
es tal
someday I have
que
some
yo
hope of
prefiero
seeing
saber que
alive.
no voy a verlo de
Then I
nuevo,
could put him
más
in a hole
nunca,
6
pero que
feet below
estará
the ground
bien.
where I come from. This was the choice she was faced with.
Porque la opción mía es seguir en mi
Also,
país y
Tijuana.
verlo morir ahí.
I did some of the most heartbreaking reporting of my career.
Eso me partió
The
el alma.
conversation about immigrants today,
En esta conversación sobre los
across
inmigrantes hoy,
and in this country, is approaching incitement to genocide. We have a
está
president
llegando a niveles de
who calls
genocidio.
migrants
Tenemos
robbers and rapists and
un
murderers.
presidente que insulta a los
The
inmigrantes,
language that
les
he
llama
uses
les trata de
about these people who
violadores,
just come
de
and be mothers and
criminales.
children. And most of all, there's this
Y
idea that they don't have the same family values.
hay esta idea de
But
que
if you
ellos
want
no
to see
tienen los
family
mismos
values,
valores de familia que
go to a
tenemos
place called
nosotros.
Friendship Park.
Si
It's on
quiere
the
ver
US-Mexico border.
valores de familia, ve a
And
un
there is
sitio
actually
que
a
se
wall on
llama
the US
Parque de la
border.
Amistad está en la frontera con México y en realidad hay una pared ahí y es casi al lado del mar. Y ahí hay un parche de tierra que se llama el Parque de la Amistad, y si uno está de este lado de la frontera y quiere ver su familia del otro lado, puede ir y puede ver a su familia. Según antiguas administraciones, se podían visitar, tener un picnic, abrazarse. Entonces durante Obama y Clinton pusieron como impedimentos, se podían abrazar aún, pero no se podía sentar con su familia. Ahora hay una reja. Yo me quedé ahí durante 2 semanas y vi familia tras familia reunirse. Y me paré y mientras que un hombre mexicano que no había visto a su madre durante 17 años había hecho el viaje desde Colorado y fue hasta la reja, y la madre también estuvo del otro lado de la reja, y él puso su cara ahí y me dijo después que podía olerla y podía oírla respirar, y dijo: te quiero y te extraño. Y ella dijo: has estado comiendo bien. Quería darle un abrazo, pero lo único que podía hacer, el hueco en la reja solo era tan grande como para poner su dedo meñique, y ella puso su dedo meñique. Hicieron así como para besarse con los meñiques, y eso se ve por toda la reja. Madres, hijos, hermanos, hermanas, esposos, esposas, haciendo eso, el beso del dedo meñique, porque es lo único que se puede tocar a través de esta reja, y nada más que puede ser 10 o 15 minutos a la vez, y entonces vienen los patrulleros de la frontera y les mandan que regresen. Entonces uno va y ve ese deseo tremendo que tienen los seres humanos de estar con sus familias, que la reunificación familiar significa algo. Si alguna vez ha tenido un problema en su familia, ha dejado de hablar con su familia, tiene que ir a este Parque de la Amistad y ver la desesperación de la gente, tan anhelantes de esto. Pero no es solo en este país, es por toda Europa. Están volviendo los fascistas. El miedo a los migrantes está creciendo increíblemente, mucho más de lo que pudieran crecer los migrantes mismos. Véanse Brexit, miren lo que está pasando. Escocia, Irlanda. Todo esto es basado en el miedo de los migrantes. Las personas que están apoyando al Brexit, que no les gustan los inmigrantes, no son las personas que ven a inmigrantes todos los días. Las personas que votaron por Brexit son personas que viven lejos de inmigrantes. No son personas que viven en Jackson Heights o que viven en Nueva York. Viven en espacios muy grandes, tienen una idea de familias inmigrantes, de como Paco Carson. Yo realmente quiero hablar con Paco Carson para decirle: Paquito, todos estos estudios muestran que cuando las personas tienen experiencias con inmigrantes, se dan cuenta de que son iguales a ellos, que los inmigrantes trabajan mucho, que sus niveles de crimen son más bajos que las personas que nacen ahí. Entonces mi libro es un libro lleno de rabia, pero que tiene un final feliz. Y el final feliz es que cuando nos mudamos, todo el mundo beneficia. Porque la realidad es que en este país la población nativa no está haciendo suficientes bebés para repoblar la población. Son los migrantes están beneficiando, porque para ellos es cuestión de vida y muerte. Y también es el dinero que mandan de regreso a sus países, aunque sean $5 o $10 a la vez. Eso es la mejor forma de ayudar la pobreza mundial, los pobres que siguen viviendo en muchas partes del mundo. Quisiera dejar con un cuento de esperanza. Yo digo que mi libro es un libro lleno de rabia, pero que también tiene esperanza. En el 2016, ese año en el que se eligió Trump, mi cuñado, que vive en Jackson Heights, Jay, que es bengali americano criado en Carolina del Norte. Entonces él me dijo, Suketo, quiero correr para el Senado de Estado. Y Suketo le dijo, en Carolina del Norte, ¿usted cómo piensa apoyar a mi hermana, sostener a mi hermana? Pero fui, y él estaba corriendo contra un blanco con el nombre de Ellis Hankes. Y ahí estaba mi cuñado Jay Chaudhry tratando de enseñarle a la gente cómo pronunciar su nombre en un distrito que era 90% blanco, y el hombre blanco corriendo contra él lo tomó como dado que iba a ganar. Y Jay salió a la calle a tocar en puertas. Alguien sacó una pistola una vez durante la campaña. Un perro pequeño que se llamaba Chewy, que era un poodle, pero pasó así. Y Jay habló con la gente, tocó en 10,000 puertas, habló de escuelas, del hecho de que los republicanos le habían quitado mucho dinero a las escuelas en Carolina del Norte, y ganó, y ahora es el representativo democrático del Estado, en el Senado del Estado de Carolina del Norte. Toda la política es personal. Se puede hacer, lo podemos hacer en este país. Esta tierra es nuestra tierra, este país es nuestro país. No podemos dejar que nadie de Jamaica States o de otra parte le puedan decir de otra forma.
Deportations and racist policing, and is currently a legal advocate and tenant organizer at his legal service.
Usually I share a lot of stories of pain, because we all have them. If you're undocumented, you know what it comes with. And it's a lot of suffering, it's a lot of separation. And usually that's what I come with, but today I wanted to come with a story of rage. So this happened to me this Saturday. Who here knows Chuck Schumer? I feel bad for you if you know him personally. Chuck Schumer, he is our U.S. Senator. He's a Democrat. And for years, he has been applauded as the progressive Democrat, savior of all of the dreamers, DACA recipients like myself. He was the author, the guy who wrote the comprehensive immigration reform bill that we debated for 5 years and couldn't pass, and ultimately didn't pass at all. And he, for this long, has just been called the Friends of Immigrants. He was not my friend that day. I ran into him at the Sunnyside Street Fair. I swear to God, I'm not always an angry immigrant. Sometimes I just want a sausage at the street fair in Queens. My husband has been telling me all day, let's go to the fair. Finally convinces me, we go to the fair, we take my dog Churro. We're there for 10 minutes. We can't really buy anything, we can't afford anything, we just paid our rent. So we're just looking around, and we're like, let's take the long way home so that we can walk around a little bit more. It's a really nice day. We're walking out of the street fair, and there comes Chuck Schumer coming out of his car with his campaign, all these signs. Chuck Schumer, call me Chuck Schumer, friend of immigrants. And I go, fuck, I don't want to see this guy. I was against the comprehensive immigration reform bill in 2014. It was a horrible bill. It was the only thing on the table, so everybody felt that if you were friends of immigrants, you had to support this damn bill. But it was a horrible bill. If it had been passed, it would have actually made it so that every undocumented person in this country had to apply for comprehensive immigration reform. And even though they had so many requirements that more than half of those people would never actually make it to the citizenship path of 10 years, and it would have made everybody who applied a target for deportation if they were ineligible, basically putting a target on the back of more than half of immigrants in this country. It was the only thing on the table. It was, we wanted this path of citizenship for maybe less than half of immigrants who would have actually gotten it, and they would have been citizens, and everybody else would have been screwed. And in exchange, we had to compromise the border wall. We had to compromise more military, more money for detention, more money for security, for keeping the U.S. safe, and it was terrible. But the unions, everybody who thought that the Democrats could really not offer anything better, felt that they had to support it. So I might have made a fool of myself, but I yelled at that man. Like I have not yelled at any man in a long time. I wagged my finger, and if you're on Instagram, you can see that. I wagged my finger at him, and he was so upset. He got red in the face, and I was like, this is probably what Trump looks like up close. White, red man, burning eyes. And he said, no, you listen to me now. And I said, no. No, I will not. And he was actually told by his staff people to walk away from me, to disengage, because it doesn't look good for you fighting an immigrant woman, wagging your finger at her when you're telling people you're a friend of immigrants. And so his staff people told him, walk away. But when he heard me say, no, I will not, that man came back. And he kept on yelling at me, and we went at it for 5 minutes, and eventually they did separate us. My poor dog was flying all over the place, and I told him he wasn't welcome in Sunnyside. And it didn't change anything that day. It doesn't change anything today. But I think that if we are not able to make the connection that our planet is on fire, that's the reason people are coming, that we don't have a lot of time, but we do have a lot of people who are discontent, who are ready to fight, who are ready to push back. If we don't organize all of those people, then it's always going to be an angry brown girl yelling at Chuck Schumer. And it's not going to be what it needs to be, which is an organized group of people that will not let him come into the neighborhood until he has solutions that actually make sense for our families. There isn't the mass protest in the streets that we need right now. It hasn't been for years.